Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio is made possible by the Bluebird Beauty Bar. Polly Hall and Kaya Stowers are committed to meeting the needs and expectations of each client, offering cuts, colors, and chemical waves, and everything from facial waxing to makeup and updos for bridal parties and proms. 408 Beaumont Avenue in Charlotte, BluebirdBeautyBar.com. And do tell them that you are a musical conversationalist.
Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio, PMCR Charlotte.
This is Stan, and it's time for Musical Conversations. And before we get into things, I want to explain that this is part 2 of an ongoing conversation that I had with Johnny Moss, Chris Loebs, and Robin Lincoln regarding the life of Chris Peigler, who passed away early in 2014. Hostile Witness is the CD. It's a 2-CD set, tribute CD to the life of Chris Peigler. And where we pick up the conversation is me asking Chris Loebs about Ryan McGinnis, who used to work with Chris Peigler. Ryan was in the band with you.
Yeah.
And the song I picked next from the Hostile Witness compilation is his song, Patriot Act.
Yeah.
Which is one that really stood out for me.
We actually, that was an old My So-Called Band song.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that we used to do as the band, and then he's now doing some acoustic stuff, and so that's his new
acoustic version
of the song.
Bring it down to...
and another thing that was really crazy about this, too, when the idea of putting together, some of these benefit things, and I don't know if it's really been mentioned that Miss Peigler is still doing great and lives next door to me.
Okay.
And, we're trying to help her out here with all this stuff. So when the idea of putting together a benefit show and putting together a benefit CD to a tribute to Chris, all that kind of stuff, Ryan and I were talking about it, and it was like, wow, that's going to be a really great idea. And I don't remember which one of us said it, but we were like, we actually need to play on that. We need to play on that show. And I don't remember who said it first, but we both absolutely agreed. And then the decision was made to play in the missing man formation.
Oh.
So we did not replace Chris. We played as a 2-piece with no bass, and Ryan sang all the vocal parts on that Friday night of the snow. And it was a pretty emotional night, I think. For me, it was.
And for those not in Charlotte. When snow hits Charlotte, it shuts the city down.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. And that was a good snowstorm, too.
Yeah.
It was one of the more heavy snowstorms.
Yeah, I had to dig myself out of my driveway.
Yeah. We got
4 inches, and that's all I need.
That's incredible. That's
of snow.
Yeah. Of snow.
So
that's an incredible amount here in Charlotte, especially when you don't have anything to clear the streets off with, or to
at least we weren't in Atlanta. Holy crap, they got annihilated.
Yes.
Anyway,
originally from Cleveland.
Yeah,
a couple feet. It's
fine.
like dusting.
Yeah.
But that's because they have the equipment to clean the streets off and.
Exactly.
Well, it was, what I was going to say was, Ryan and I both, again, it was really strange. I left the band in 2003, and, this was 2014 that we did the show. And, I hadn't played any of those songs in 10 years.
Wow. Was it easy to get back into it?
It was surprisingly easy.
Okay.
And I have not played a gig as a drummer since I left that band.
Wow.
I've been playing guitar and doing other things. And it was really weird to come back to rehearsal without Chris and be playing those songs. And it was like, these were his, we played a couple of Ryan songs, and then we played mostly Chris's songs that he had written. And it was just like, I don't know. I can't really explain it, but it was like he was still alive. He was still there. He was in some way, even though he wasn't in the room rehearsing with us. It was like there was something else.
Somebody else was there.
Something else there.
Well, I mentioned that on the announcements on the Facebook page here, and you questioned me what I mean. I said Chris would be here. But what did you mean? And I'm like, well, in spirit and in music.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So we
It confused me.
Well, yeah. Well,
Again, he's a
sure,
singer.
because the way I put it was like,
I'd had a few beers.
as if I had no idea
What's going on here?
what was really. No, the way I
do you
put it
mean?
was
I
you could
understand.
easily take it in your defense.
Totally.
You could easily take it like I had no idea what was going on here.
Yeah.
But it was and Chris would be here. But no, that's the way I meant it. Was in spirit and in music, and I feel that
Yeah.
very much so. However, my question is like on this song "Patriot Act." It ties into it's an observational song. It's one of Chris's songs?
Actually,
Yes.
Or is it Ryan's own?
Ooh, that's a
Because
good
because
question.
it is a narrative. It is
Yeah.
honestly, when I first heard it,
I feel
especially
bad.
the way
I
it's-
don't know who wrote that song.
especially the way it's Chris had to have a part in it also if you guys were doing it.
absolutely. Yeah.
However, when I first heard it on this compilation, I'm sitting there going, I mean, these are Dylan inspired.
Yeah, he's a genuine
Yes.
soul.
Yeah. And so it really presents itself like that, though. It's that strong, that powerful of a song. And so Chris had parts in it, of course, obviously.
Absolutely. I made it on one of our albums. So.
Made it, and Ryan is presenting it, obviously, in a different form.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
album was it on originally? Do you know? Do you remember?
If it's not on Punk Girl, then it's definitely on Always Something There to Destroy Me. So
Okay. I don't think it's on
I'm pretty
here.
sure it. You know what? That may have been.
It's not on here.
That may have been a Weapons of Mass Distortion. That may have been post
Okay.
Chris Loebs.
Okay. After your so
Yeah, it may have been. They only put out one other album after that, and I think there was some compilation stuff that they did too after that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it.
yeah, let's rock
This
it
is Patriot Act. Ryan McGinnis.
Never thought Orwell would get it right. Many years later, and the government's got never-ending sight. Lots changed since 1984. Still labeled an outcast, 'cause you don't support their bloody war. Tell me how to think and act. I don't wanna be part of your Patriot Act. You won't tell me how to think and act. I don't wanna be down. I don't wanna be down. No, no. Better watch out. The government's got their eye on you. Down if you're not red, white, and blue. Looking for the terrorist in our midst. Careful you don't wind up on the blacklist. You won't tell me how to think and act. I don't wanna be part of your Patriot Act. You won't tell me how to think and act. I don't wanna be down. I don't wanna be down. No, no.
Patriot Act, Ryan McGinnis, who was a member of which bands?
My so-called band, and
So-called band, yeah.
he was in all kinds of other stuff.
Okay. And do you know what current project?
He is doing the Ryan McGinnis project right now.
Ah.
He is just playing solo acoustic stuff and singing and writing songs like that. Yeah, a lot of similar stuff like that.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
interesting. I like that. I like when an artist can do that.
Yeah.
Can take their things and present it in a different way. It's been done wonderfully. It's been done horribly.
Indeed.
This is Dan. It's Musical Conversations. I've got Johnny, Robin, and Chris in, and we're talking Hostile Witness, the tribute to Chris Peigler. And that was, right before, was Ryan McGinnis and Patriot Act. Where do we go from here on this? Does anybody have a direction? What, if you want to look through, pick something. I'm going to check out the liner notes. Liner notes were compiled by...
Oh, that was Lane Lovegrove. He actually, I meant to mention him earlier. He actually, he went to great detail to write a lot on Chris. He did something for Shutter 16 too. He really took some time out and put a lot of work into that and a couple of the other magazine articles that went down and showed a lot of support for us, which was a really awesome thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw
Yeah,
him
he
again
did a
at
great
the
job.
Milestone Saturday.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a great
Yeah.
He's really putting in a lot of time to help out, Charlotte bands and, do what he can do for writing and stuff. He works for several magazines. I think he works for My City too. I'm not sure how many he works for, but
Yeah,
I see him
saw
all
him
over
pictured
town
in here.
meeting with editors and such.
Yeah.
I just saw him at the Diamond the other morning.
What do editors look like? I've never seen one.
I guess I think I don't know. They come out at night. yeah. Well, I knew the girl. I know the girl that runs the magazine.
Ellen.
So. Yeah, Ellen. Yeah.
Ellen.
So.
Yeah. Let me read this. Hostile Witness is a title taken from a project that Chris had planned to start working on once he began feeling better. As fate would have it, this project would never materialize due to Chris's untimely death. This is a text here that Chris sent to former bandmate Keith Barnes while in the hospital in the days leading up to his passing. And it says, "When I start feeling better, I want to start a new band. Right now, I'd like to call it Hostile Witness. I want to record a 7-inch record called 3 Bands for Todd, which would be a tribute to my friend Todd Ritchie, who died last week. He was my favorite person from the Charlotte hardcore scene of the early 80s. I've got an unreleased My So-Called Band song, as well as an unreleased Rogue Nation song. I thought this would be way cool to put out, a cool way to put out, these songs, as well as debuting the new band." And it continues to say that this is a perfect example of Chris's constant selflessness and also his relentless attitude towards constantly making and releasing music. Hopefully, in the spirit of Chris's relentlessness, will be embodied in this compilation, as well as showcase some of Chris's body of work and also the great talent among Chris's friends in the Charlotte, North Carolina scene that he loved and cared for so much. And that is just incredible because he essentially is on his deathbed and still thinking about music.
Oh, yeah.
And how to get, what else to get out there and more and how to work.
So like I said earlier, I mean, he had the plan already together. He was just giving us one little bit at a time.
Yeah. And that really got me.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
And I had to share it. There
Pretty
are other
deep.
pieces in here, too. And I don't know if you want to read yours, Robin. If I'm putting you on the spot, I
No,
apologize.
that's all right. I'm cool with
Do you
that.
need some more light?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little
Do you wanna
dark
hit this-
here.
Is that going to work, or do you want to hit the switch on
Did
the
you just
left?
carry around flashlights? Is that?
I live in a dangerous neighborhood.
I'm just trying to figure out where this all begins.
It's not the only thing I've got in my pocket.
What else is in there?
Oh, okay. All right. So where do I start? Aptly. Well, as I write this, it's Chris' birthday. He was born on January 24th, 1963 in Tampa, Florida, to Hazel Peigler. That part is actually written by someone else. The part that I actually wrote starts here. He sought answers to immense questions such as how the upbringings and environment, the influence of media coverage, spiritualism, healthcare, and other things affected individuals in the long run. We would have weekly conversations for 20 years, ranging from the topics of local punk scene, music, issues in friends' lives, issues in our own lives, or current worldwide political events and leaders. He detested such things as media portrayals of women needing to have thin, picture-perfect bodies, and of political or corporate abuse, corruption, and negligence. He really detested petty-mindedness.
And that ties in with what you had said earlier, and is a good example of Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just...
Yeah, he wanted to help anybody out. I mean, for years I remember going to bands shows, and there we'd be at clubs and various things, and kids would be outside, and they would have had maybe trouble with their parents. Maybe they were kicked out of the house, or they just had no money or whatever, and it would be nothing for Chris to just hand them $5-10 to get in to see a show, because he knew that would do him good. We would typically go out, and somebody had too much to drink, we'd drive them home. I mean, there was just no question. It was about looking out for people, and that's where his mind always was.
I would say that the world needs more people like that. However, I believe that everybody needs to be like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly,
it's that usurps the other statement of the world needs more people like that. Everybody should be like that. That should be the mentality around. Help each other. What else are we here for?
Yeah.
What's a good reason not to? Well, I don't know. You handed me this CD case and you said, "Why don't you pick a song?" Johnny Moss is a relatively humble guy too. He won't admit it, but he's not going to ask for DSR to be played. So.
Well, I would never do that to people.
But I'm going to do it. I think I would not have known Moss if it hadn't been for Chris. I don't think we would have ever met.
Many years ago.
And I still have fond memories of, playing a house show. Actually, you know what? I've got a really good segue for us to go out of Dirty South Revolutionaries into another band after this.
Okay.
So
tell us the one.
Yeah. Well, I remember
into DSR first.
The Seatown Psychos. The Seatown Psychos was a band that Mr. Moss was in for a little while there. Back around, what was that? Probably like 2001, something like that.
2001, yeah.
Yeah, and we played this house show, my so-called band. The Seatown Psychos, and
how do you remember this?
I'm trying to remember. There's actually some really significant things that actually happened that night, and at least to me, it was the first time that I saw Moss perform.
Okay.
Which may not be a big deal to him, but it's a big deal to me right now. So,
right. Well, I remember the first time I saw him perform.
Yeah,
it was, actually quite scary.
I'm not saying
performance or anything. The mosh pit was right there. It started flying chords.
I was totally terrified of him. I'm still scared of Moss.
Yeah.
I'm scared of myself.
So we played, and I don't remember the order of the bands or anything like that. I just remember it being in this condemned house that was right near Independence Boulevard.
I remember that.
And it was like looking out over at, like you could see downtown and like all the cars cruising by on Independence when we were outside. And then inside was like this really rickety floor, and like everybody was worried about falling in. And yet we were still packing in more people and more people. And
until you set out on Independence, I thought you were talking about the Milestone.
I know, right? And I love both places. So,
yes, totally.
We played the show, had a great time. There was, good times had. There was this guy that showed up. At the time, he was like 13 or 14 or something like that. His name is Dylan Gilbert, and he happens to be the main vocalist and songwriter in a band called Hectorina that's also on this. And that was Dylan's first live show. Was
Hectorina was a band
that night.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, and Dylan has been a friend of my family throughout the years. He's he was friends with my sister Jessica, my brother Dave, my brother Andy. He's a little bit younger than me, so he was a little bit more with their age group and their crew. And I ran into Dylan. It was that Wednesday. Chris passed away on a Tuesday.
Wednesday the 8th.
Wednesday the 8th.
Wednesday.
Was it that day? And then we went that night.
That was the 8th of
January. So I guess it was that night.
It was the next night we went to the Commonwealth.
Yeah, we went to Common Market, and
Common
some of
Market.
us were just hanging out there and just talking and getting a drink and whatever. And
which Commonwealth happens to be right there.
yeah,
right?
it is.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I was
and
thinking
so it
Commonwealth
turns
Street.
out I was already down
Common
there,
Market.
and Dylan was playing around the corner. And another band who, oddly
Snug
enough,
Harbor.
is connected. Yeah, playing at Snug Harbor.
Yeah.
And this
I do
band,
the
Bless These,
calendar,
Bless,
remember these.
Bless These Sounds Under the City, which
That
has
was during Hectorina's
and Hectorina,
was
their
the residency.
Their
of
residency, yeah.
Snug
So
Harbor.
I went over and checked it out. I walked in, and the first person I see in the door is Dylan.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Dylan, did you hear about Chris?" And he said, "Yeah, I did." And I said, "Do you remember that show that you came out and saw?" Chris had been friends with Dylan's mom.
Okay.
And Dylan's mom, I don't know the exact story, but they had done some musical things together. I don't know if she was in a band or something. I can't remember the whole story. And then Dylan says, "Yeah, man, I do remember that. That was the first show that I ever saw." And that was the first time that I ever saw Johnny Moss perform in the Seatown Psychos. And it was the first show that Dylan Gilbert, who's now, I think, a mainstay on the local scene,
Yeah.
and has been for a while. That was one of his first shows.
So you can have a positive influence, damn it.
And
You know, that's all that is.
somebody was bound to see him eventually.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
You walk around town long enough, somebody's going to see you.
And it's crazy
I try
how
and
those
compliment you.
well, but those kind of connections don't happen accidentally. I mean,
Right.
You know,
No,
I mean, maybe it seems like it at the time, but you know, those are the connections that actually make a scene and that actually make people want to go back and be a part of other things. And you know, the last gig that I played, one of the guys from Hectorina's other band asked us to play a show.
Cool.
So it was like, you know, here we are. We're just all mixing
Full
around,
circle.
full circle, and
Circling around.
you
Still
know,
doing
It's
it.
great.
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, and it's the same way that it always happens. And that was a seed that was planted in 2001 originally. You know,
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's
The Jackson Street House.
is that what it was called?
It's the Jackson Street House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The back porch was like
Yeah.
Yes.
about to fall over. It was.
Yeah.
I keep making motions. I realize people can't hear that.
Yeah.
I heard
We
it
all
fun
have
over
face for
here.
radio.
yeah, right.
I said that.
Yeah, it was a rough place though. It was
Yeah,
definitely
it
good.
was.
We all have good face for radio, so
Yeah. Thank you.
that's what I said.
What are you doing later?
No,
your
it
wife
is,
is-
it is amazing that the things do happen like that they come together and come around, and how wonderfully it is, how amazing one influence. It could be a minor thing, but how much of an effect it might have on somebody. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah.
I mean, Peigler definitely, from the first time I met him, had an effect on me.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Because when I met him, I was not Mr. Positive at all. I was a street running renegade.
Right.
I was one step away from becoming like an organized criminal.
I remember that.
Yeah, and
Well,
So
and I'm
you made it
in
to
all
like
of your
1.5 steps from that now, right?
I didn't get too far. But
Johnny, I'm
stop
sure.
me from being shot, maybe. I don't know.
At least once.
I'm sure that experience has helped very much so in all of your promotion work.
Yeah, I mean,
Touche.
Thank you.
Touche.
But no, it works out well, and I have to say that I recognize the influence on the way you approach getting bands together and organizing the shows and promoting.
yeah.
And it's some people are doing it and some people are doing it right, and I think you've got it on the right side.
I'm trying.
Some
It's
people
it's,
just-
it's
Bravo.
always a work in progress.
Yeah.
You know,
Indeed.
there's, there's more than just me. You know, you have
Oh yeah,
people
no, we're all
out there
together
like
on this.
Buck
I
and,
believe. I agree.
You know, John Hayes.
Yeah.
There's an army of us, but
Yeah,
there's an army that he helped create.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, for sure.
He did.
definitely.
He
For
did.
sure.
I
That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did.
I think we
We're
all
still
are,
out
yeah.
here, or at least I am for the time being.
right.
Until I drowned face down in the swamp like I did the other morning.
Jeez.
Drank a few and woke up in a swamp. I don't know how.
Yeah. That's why I carry the flashlight.
But anyway, yeah, come find me in the swamp. I knew you needed that. What you doing out here, Dad?
So the DSR song on there is called "Open Eyes," which you didn't have until you woke up in the swamp. Yeah, no. Tell us about this song.
That was actually that song was written with Pete Egger. He was originally one of the song. We always had two singers for a while there, which we do verbatim off and on now. I don't know if verbatim's the right word to use there, but occasionally. Okay. Thank you. Anyway,
occasionally verbatim is the right word.
Occasionally verbatim. You can put that on my tombstone.
I'll write it on there verbatim. No,
but, we wrote that together. You know, we had both been through some hard times, and had recently. You know, he had recently had a child. I recently had stopped being a schmuck, and we. Well, I don't know how I'd become less of a schmuck.
Okay, we'll give you that.
But we wrote that song, and it was supposed to be a positive song. At the time, we were under a lot of scrutiny for kind of having a negative aspect in the way we looked at things, and we were starting to take notice of that, and we were starting down the path we're down now. That was the song and that was because of people like Peigler. So the positive influence that they had on us. Being crazy drug addicts, running around the hood trying to rob drug dealers and stuff, and being like, the reason that we made our own legacy in Charlotte, the DSR did, and that's why it's Across the Bear. We did that to ourselves, and without it being somebody positive around like Peigler, we would have continued down that path till we all were probably died.
Self-destructed completely.
Yeah. So he saved us from that. So
that's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
that's good. You opened your eyes. He opened your eyes.
Yeah,
well, the song is called "Open Eyes." DSR. It's an interesting song.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I heard it right now. Oh, it is. Anyway, but is there a non-interesting DSR song? Is there such a thing?
You guys need to check out the new video. Something about whiskey.
Yeah,
okay.
Damn it! It keeps messing me up.
I watched that video while I was at work the other day.
That got wild that night. He was. I think that was the show you were at.
Yeah,
they were filming.
Right. And that's the one that nearly...
Yeah, Philip Schaub did that video, man. He
Good stuff.
He knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, he's a good video director. So.
I have not seen the video yet.
Yeah.
Yet, operative word. But I'll look for it.
Well, I have a white spot in my beard. I didn't dye that week, and I'm drunk. So that's about the plot of
We
it.
all were.
There was a
Okay, I
hot
was
girl,
there.
Pandora Von Kitt was in it. She was spinning some fire around.
Fire, I
her.
saw that. And,
Yeah,
I said, wow.
Well, you were there when it happened.
I was
mean,
there
I
when
only
it
got to watch
happened.
the video of
Yeah.
it. So I mean,
That was my first DSR show, too. And that's, again, the one where I'm like, mosh pit. And not that I love it. Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio is made possible by the Bluebird Beauty Bar. Polly Hall and Kaya Stowers are committed to meeting the needs and expectations of each client, offering cuts, colors, and chemical waves, and everything from facial waxing to makeup and updos for bridal parties and proms. 408 Beaumont Avenue in Charlotte, BluebirdBeautyBar.com, and do tell them that you are a musical conversationalist. This is a great digression, by the way. I'm a huge Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
42.
And the actor and comedian, and he does everything else, Stephen Fry, was dear friends with Douglas Adams and says it's an inside joke that he's taking to his grave. The man knows why it's 42 and what the answer is.
Wow.
Okay? And he's not telling anybody. So there's that. Okay.
So he knows the ultimate question.
He knows. He does.
Wow.
It's a wonderful book, wonderful movie, wonderful. Every incarnation of it is interesting and different. And I've read Douglas Adams' other books, and his perspective on reality I follow truly.
Yeah.
Also, where it's just so fucking funny.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know? I mean,
You know, oddly enough, I think this connects to Chris Peigler because he was the same kind of guy. Witty observations about
Yeah.
the way that the world was and is probably going to be. And
so maybe
you
I'll
know,
keep it all in.
Douglas Adams was doing the same thing too.
Oh, totally.
You know,
Yeah.
it's-
And died an untimely death.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, you're welcome.
So there.
Tied all that together nicely.
Ties all together. Okay.
Golf clap.
Wow. So, what you had done, to go back to and hopefully you remember, you said this ties into something else. So we were talking about the DSR song, and
I was thinking about, I gave away all of the details earlier. I was thinking about Hectorina and Dylan Gilbert and the connections that he has with, he had with Chris Peigler, and you know, it was a pretty crazy thing. You know, one of the other bands that played that same night that I saw Dylan that night that I was talking about earlier was actually a fellow named Derek Hines is in Bless These Sounds Under the City. And Derek was in a band called The Experiment who got together just to play the Chris Peigler Festival. The Chris Peigler Punk Party. You know, Derek was a guy that I used to go see all the time. I used to go and see The Experiment all the time back around 2000, and here it is again. We're all looping it in together and making connections. And my sister was in a band with Albert, the other fella in that band.
okay, in Hectoria.
And Bless These Sounds Under the City.
City.
And those guys are in a band with the guys from Hectorina, so
Nice.
it's even more of a connection. So the guys that asked me to play a show the other day that Loebs played. So it's again a connection to a connection to a connection to a connection.
Rather
So
than
what
bread.
song am I after here?
We are not in West Virginia.
Oh, it's all
What's the age of
interrelated.
consent here?
Something that has a strong foundation, you can build off of
That's
it.
true.
you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I was thinking I wanted to hear the Hectorina song, but
Yes. So
because
he
of,
looked just like this.
yeah,
Hectorina.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
And great
Tell-
guys.
great guys.
Awesome band, Zach and Johnny and Dylan. Real
Mm-hmm.
cool guys, and really all talented musicians. Genuine people.
Genuine people.
Yeah.
Hectorina. He looked just like this is the song.
Rust on my fingers, blisters on my toes. Searching through the forest, wearing bare it works sometimes. Do you think the full is meant to guide my path? Or is someone up there laughing with a spotlight in his hand? Gotta say that it works sometimes. Gotta say that it works sometimes. I gotta say that it works sometimes. I gotta say that it works sometimes.
This is Stan. It's Musical Conversations, and that is Hectorina, and a band that's intertwined, interestingly, with Chris.
Yep.
Yet not yet, but is.
I don't know if you would have put that all together if you hadn't known
If I hadn't known you or
those guys,
yeah.
and me, and I don't know
No,
if Johnny
totally.
would have even put that together.
No, I wouldn't have.
And there they
Yeah.
are. There they are on the Hot Style Witness
Yep.
tribute album.
And I think that's probably why Dylan felt a strong urge, and maybe the other guys in the band too. I don't know. I haven't talked to them about it,
Yeah.
but to put
put
something
something forth.
on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're saying that you had gotten a lot more songs than you ever thought you would on this.
Yeah,
Johnny.
I mean, we knew we would get like, I don't know, like we thought we'd get like one CD's worth, and then it started becoming a thing. We had announced it, and we didn't even really announce that we were taking bands. Announced that we were doing it, and I was flooded. I had to tell him to go to Liz, because I'm already flooded from the booking thing and the band thing, and they were flooding me, and I
and
had
this came
Liz
together
compile
really
it.
quick too.
Yeah,
because
Really
crazy
quick.
really quick.
Really quick.
The release date
Yeah.
on that was what?
I'm not even sure.
Well, the final,
February?
It was right
Yeah.
afterwards. I mean, it was so easy because we had so many people helping us.
Right.
Yeah, it was several weeks. I mean, essentially.
It's impossible to actually name all the people. Like had people like Robin, Lane Lovegroove, Wes, Rob Oy, Ryan. Chris. We had everybody just coming in from right and left field. And it was overwhelming support. The venue owners had our backs. Everybody had our backs. Everybody wanted to do it. Magazines wanted to
we
cover
mentioned
it.
doing a show, and Lisa, who's not at Tremont anymore, but she was like, "Hey, we want to do it. We want to do something." So
Right.
Yeah.
And that was like one of her last things at Tremont.
Yeah,
too,
it
wasn't
was.
it?
That was
You know.
actually the last.
That was the last.
The last show she
Lisa
was
Barr.
working on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Her farewell show was the day before, but technically her last show was with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it was
so a
just
lot-
days after Chris's passing. I talked to her about doing something, and it was
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yeah.
And we
powerful.
definitely
Perfectly.
wanted it to be all about Chris's mom, because one of the other things that Chris really spent a lot of time in his life and really cared about was his mother, who has survived him. She's 94, and he was taking care of her.
Yeah.
And that was a concern. And the last time I talked to Chris was when he was in the hospital, and I promised him that I would take care of his mom. And, it was one of those times where he was on a ventilator. He was pretty drugged up and pretty out of it. Don't know whether he heard me, but it was a promise that I made, and I intend to keep.
And with that said, we're going to do the part 2 and 3 and 4
we're going to
every
continue.
year.
Keep
So
going.
we
Keep
are
going.
definitely contributing, and the family is exceedingly great to work with, and just wonderful club owners, the bands, the people that have put all this stuff together. They're just thrilled and can't express their gratitude enough.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it's sad. It is sad that we had to come under this because of this, but something super positive came from it. Everybody before wasn't quite working together. All of a sudden, started working it just works like a giant machine now. It's great, and it helps everybody from the old to the young in the music community. There's 30 years difference in some of the bands on the album from the time they formed.
Yeah.
Fantasy
exactly.
on there.
Pinko.
Like the band I was talking about, the band Coastal. The first time they played, they had to have their parents come with them because I think they were still in high school. They wanted on it, and I was like, oh, definitely. He would have been all about that.
Oh God, Chris would have totally supported
he
that.
I love that.
So it was just a great thing that happened, and we want to keep doing it, and next year maybe even try to include keep it punk based, but maybe include a few more genres and just get that aspect working in other areas of Charlotte that are having some problems.
Right.
Get that mentality out there.
Punk. First off, punk is a wide genre.
Yeah.
Now it is. Yeah, I would say.
It
Well, and I
keeps
think maybe
expanding.
even it's in origins too. I mean, if you think about some of those early
Who we were
American
talking-
punk bands. God, I mean, we can.
And so to break from the conversation for a moment, where we continued to talk about various punk bands and the history of punk and that which is to rebel against, we continue on. This is Stan. It's Musical Conversations with Johnny Moss, Chris Loebs, and Robin Lincoln talking about Hostile Witness, the tribute to the life of Chris Peigler, who passed away early in 2014, in January. Now back to the conversation where we're talking about the concerns of music today. Where are the protest songs? And so I say, where's the protest songs? Where are the protest songs coming from the Occupy movement, for example? Where is it? I mean,
I agree.
the one musician I know that was active in the Occupy movement on a national level is Pete Seeger, but he's got a long history of protest songs.
Yeah, that's all he's
Of course,
known for.
Chris also was part of the Occupy movement.
Yes.
You
Much so.
Very much so. And I'm sure that some stuff had to have inspired him throughout that, and musically. However, without the reach that Pete Seeger would have or anything. But I'm wondering where's the anger in the music today, other than on the local level.
Yeah.
Well, you have entities coming in, like Clear Channel, and they're destroying the industry.
Yes.
I mean, on a real level.
They're destroying the music industry by not playing it on the radio.
Yeah, and that's why I've been saying, and that's why with the label and with this album and everything that I'm trying to do, or as we as a unit are trying to do. I don't want to say just me.
Right.
Is
I'd like to tie in on that.
Community
On
based.
there, community. Yeah, what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
what we are trying to do is
is to keep it in the neighborhood and to keep it out of their fucking pockets.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know exactly what you're saying.
And they've done things that make it impossible for real musicians to get the recognition they deserve. I feel. The radio's full of garbage, and it's annoying.
This is internet radio, and you can say whatever you want. No, this is internet radio, and that my goal is to also turn radio on its ear here in Charlotte.
That's a great goal,
and that's what I'm really struggling for and striving to do.
Ties back into Peigler too. Sometimes you need to plant a seed in order for something to grow, and the tree doesn't always have to grow in the same direction. You have people in the Charlotte scene that are anarchists. You have people in the Charlotte scene that are left wing. You even have the right wing. The guys, but we're all. Every one of them are screaming, "Keep it in the community." They're not going out and playing these huge venues and all that. They're just they have their personal ideologies, and that's what they believe in. And if you don't like, fuck you. And that's awesome because they're all members of the community, and I totally support all of them, and they're right to believe whatever the hell they want.
Well, let's talk more music on this compilation CD. There's a lot. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Did you think at the halfway mark that you should maybe just make some of it part 2?
No, we wanted to.
You wanted to go all.
We
all
wanted
out
to
with
be
it?
big. We
It's
wanted to
big.
come
The fir-
out and
it's-
just. We wanted to tie everything together
Okay.
because it wouldn't have worked any other way because his life was way too long, influenced way too much just to be like 10 or 15 bands.
Wow.
And his influence is felt everywhere. Like even if you're not even aware that it's there, it's
Yeah.
there.
Right.
And it's,
Right. We're seeing that. I mean.
Yeah, he was. I mean, this just having that positive influence, it did a lot. And he put me on my first record ever.
Wow.
And that changed my entire life.
Yeah.
I got to tour and go be a jackass and have people love and hate me and become a rock and roller because this guy took a chance on a fat dumbass redneck kid from the mountains. So it was like I got to go do all this really cool shit because he started me down that path.
Down that path, yeah.
Yeah.
And look where you are now.
Yeah,
Just sitting in a room talking music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
What the hell, man?
Living the dream, man.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Get to go out of town and play, and have people show
Well,
up to your shows. It's just living the dream, and I wouldn't have had any of that. And I own a house, I have a kid. Everything that I did was spawned from that.
Right.
So
Well, and you post on Facebook. You have posted on Facebook the schedule for DSR, and you've included when you're in the studio, when you're everywhere.
Yeah.
And people question that, and I'm like, yeah, it's a copy and paste, and I understand that.
Yeah.
However, on the other side of that, look at that list. You're active.
yeah.
You're moving. You're doing things. You know, and that's
we're actually
wonderful.
slowing down. The drummer's wife just contracted some cancer. She's
Oh.
got stage 3 breast cancer, so we're going to have to take a break and fight that off, and then we'll hammer it back out again. But we're going to be that. We've got a series of benefit shows coming up for that.
there are a
too.
few. I was just about to say there's a few
We have one
benefit
at
shows
April
coming
12th.
up.
I think it's April 12th at Chop
Chop
Shop,
Shop.
and then there's another
I know
one
a
at
band
Club
that's on
Fuse
that.
in Gastonia.
There are a few bands that are on that.
Yeah, we have 2 separate venues on the same day, and then we're going to do more and more and more, as well as doing the Peigler things and all the other benefits. Just trying to fuel the help needed back into the community.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird coming out of my mouth right now, but
Moss, I was just going to say something about that too. I think it's something that a lot of people wouldn't expect from this particular community that aren't involved in this community.
Right. From the outside, you look in at a hardcore and punk,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people
You see
moshing.
guys
Moshing
with,
looks angry.
weird
but-
haircuts, gauged ears, lots of tattoos, that kind of stuff. And,
Yeah.
you think, oh, those guys are probably all jackasses and assholes. And actually, they're not.
No, but
I
you
mean,
look at-
there's just as much a percentage of them are jackasses as, actually probably less than the guys that wear the ties and the
Yeah.
collars that,
That will do
live in the
anything for the
fancy
buck.
house. And, yeah.
No, you look at a show and what you've got is somebody screaming their ass off on stage, and then the people running into each other, throwing each other around, and it looks so violent and everything. No, there's deep caring in a mosh pit.
Yeah.
I'm serious. People
Yeah.
don't look at me like that. No, seriously, there
No,
is.
I know.
There's deep,
Yeah.
deep, totally. Which is why I feel that I might be able to get into the mosh pit again at some point. So what if I fall? I'll be helped up.
I was
going
going
to
to say,
along.
you see people help each other
Yeah.
up. I
All
mean,
the time. But I think I think
But,
it's I think one of the things that really strikes me about this scene and this community and these people that we're celebrating with this CD and the connections that Chris made is really the fact that these people are real and they are genuine, and the chance of that guy who's got the 7-figure, 6-figure job stopping to help you on the street because your tire is flat is pretty slim.
Right.
But I bet you if my tire was flat, Moss would pull over and help me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He might give me some shit about it, but he would
Yeah.
pull over and help me.
I would help you out, man.
See, and that's the
I'd
kind
take
of
your
shit
wallet,
that-
but I'd help
Yeah,
you.
but that's-
I'm joking.
But see, that's the kind of thing that a lot of people it's that don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing too. I mean, I know I walked in here today with a polo shirt and dress slacks because that's what I happen to be
Right.
wearing today, and I don't really give a shit, whatever. It doesn't matter what you're wearing or what your appearance is.
no.
What really matters is what Chris was after was that sincerity and that genuineness inside people. And I think, I think what we're talking about with DSR and these benefit shows and the fact that you guys are involved in so many of those, I mean, that's really something that's awesome. And, it's something that really shows the character that you guys have, I think. And
We're just trying to
Yeah,
just trying to
definitely.
get
you don't
that.
have to, you don't, I mean, you're not going to take the compliment. I know. That's the way you are. You learn from Chris. That's okay. Chris didn't take compliments
he
either.
didn't. He didn't.
But I really think, Johnny, you're a really special guy to have in our scene. So, And there's going to be some shit said about
special.
that maybe some people are going to say that I'm trying to butter you up for something, whatever.
Well,
but
let's hope.
Hey, I got this band that needs
still
to
early.
perform. Oh, wait a minute.
it is.
But thanks, man. It means a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's just I'm trying to set not even me. Just, there's a bunch of us, but just set a better example for the community. So not the community like the community wide. You know what I mean? Like
But the music,
community,
the music
community,
and not just the punk music community or the hardcore
Help.
or heavy metal or anything though.
Just learning to help where you can.
Yeah. You can make this a better place. You can make the clubs better. You can make anything better and more fun. So why the hell not?
Yeah.
Well, even
That's
if you
the
make
reasoning.
one person's life better, it makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely that makes a difference.
There is that quote, if you've influenced one person, that's going to change the world.
Yeah.
Because they will then take that and influence others, and it can grow exponentially. And that's wonderful. Plant a seed kind of thing, yeah.
I don't know if we, as artists and musicians, really think about that on a conscious level all the time, but I know for me, when I stop and think about it, it is something that seems to be significant. And whenever somebody says something, about it to you, I think it does mean a lot. And the few times that someone has said that to me, I know it really, really meant a lot to me. It's one of those things that I'm going to get teary-eyed now because I never really got to say that to Chris.
Uh-huh.
I never really got to say thanks for everything that you did for me. Not just as a musician. I mean, I live in his uncle's old house.
Wow.
I mean, he let me have a steel on that place too. I mean, like I don't pay hardly anything for rent. I mean,
That's awesome.
I was in bad shape. I needed a place to live, and he was like, "You're welcome. Come on in.
Yeah.
Here's a place." I mean, there's so many other things that he did too that I just can't even. I can't even explain it all. I mean,
right.
So he was just so genuine, and I really hate that. He wasn't able to accept all of that from us, all that love. The CD, the shows, all the the radio show we're doing tonight.
Right,
that
right.
Kind of stuff
Well,
that he wasn't able to really experience and let us see his smile.
Yeah.
Let him put his head down like Johnny did when I was giving him a compliment. The same,
But to do it,
That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it anymore. But
but on his side, of course, he did it for the love of it.
Yeah,
for the love, and that is what was so beautiful.
Yeah,
That's the reason to do anything.
That is. If you have passion for something and you pursue that passion, it will happen. No matter what it is, it will be difficult, but no matter what, you will achieve that goal.
Yeah.
And I think the goals are being achieved.
Well, as Bessie stated in a eulogy that she wrote for Chris's funeral, I mean, his life mattered. And she addressed that to his mother just so that she would know that Chris had made a difference in her life and some of the other people's lives that she knew and could only imagine how many lives he had affected.
Wow.
And to tell a surviving mother that, your son made a difference and really mattered to a lot of us.
Yeah. That's very important.
Doesn't take the pain away, but it's maybe
because
some sort of
many have said that is one of the worst things to have happen is to have a child predecease you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
That's not the way it's supposed to go, and that makes it just.
I think
terrible.
I think the family too was. Chris wasn't one to brag or boast about anything. When he wasn't playing a show and he wasn't working on music, he was just a normal guy. Had a day job. He, helped his mom. Would go to family events and that kind of stuff. And I really think the family was just utterly surprised at how many people showed up for his funeral. I mean,
they were very surprised.
I mean, it was
It was
really
hundreds.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, it was packed. It was a packed place, and I mean, it was a big room, and they had to open up a second room to seat more people.
Wow.
And there still wasn't enough seats.
There were people standing.
Yeah. And it was. I mean, you don't get that with a lot of people, and I think. I don't think that the family realized how big of an impact he had. They just thought he was a guy that played music, and why isn't he on the radio?
But the other great thing too was not only the number of people, but the diversity of people.
Yeah.
When you looked around and you saw who was there, and it just the range was huge. And again, to go back to
In every demographic.
yeah,
That's
exactly,
really cool.
and
Tons of
to
music
have
genres
mattered
there.
to
Yep.
that many people and that diverse a group. I mean,
Old,
you got to be
young,
pretty special.
non-musicians, just people, just real people.
Real people.
Real people, you know,
Yeah.
that had been affected by Chris, and yeah, I mean, pretty deep shit, man.
That is.
And there were a
That's-
lot of people that couldn't even show up. I mean, I got
Right.
tons of emails and Facebook messages from people that, you know, I really want to be there, but I can't.
Yeah.
And so had everybody that could have shown up did show up.
I don't think the place could have held it.
No.
Would have knocked the building down.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's
If, you know, if I could get half that many people at mine, I'd be feeling like I did something,
I'd
you
sell
know?
for a quarter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah.
Get a quarter of that to a local show. I'd be happy.
That's true. That's good.
Amen,
That's
brother.
very good. Wow.
You got to keep fighting
Jeez.
for it, though. You
That's
know?
true. That's true.
well, it's inspirational.
It is.
We can all shoot for something now.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Wow. I don't know. Shooting for a crowded funeral is kind of scary.
Yeah.
That's the, but
Well, I don't
to
know if
inspire
anybody's
people enough
It's-
to
yeah,
want to
that. Yeah,
is,
I have,
is,
I
is
have
I
no
think the
problem
way
with that.
Yeah.
If I've made that
You
kind
mean
of
it.
difference, wow.
Yeah. Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio is made possible by the Bluebird Beauty Bar. Polly Hall and Kaya Stowers are committed to meeting the needs and expectations of each client, offering cuts, colors, and chemical waves, and everything from facial waxing to makeup and updos for bridal parties and proms. 408 Beaumont Avenue in Charlotte, BluebirdBeautyBar.com. Tell them that you are a musical conversationalist.
Well, I don't know if we're ready for another request, but
We
you
are.
know, I think
Let's
All
go.
Rise from the Heart is probably an appropriate song right now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's a good one.
Tell me about All Rise. Tell me about...
About All Rise. I tour with those guys constantly. They're insane. Jesus Christ. The singer dresses up like a girl and takes pictures and puts them on Facebook just to mess with people. The drummer.
Oh, that's the
beat
reason?
machine. Yeah, that's the reason. Right?
Right.
Their bass player's this crazy bearded glasses guy. They're a great band. They're extremely odd.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, good
A
show.
lot of fun. Great band.
Eventually.
They totally don't get the
They're gonna
credit
come
that they deserve. You know, they
Yeah.
eat shit on a constant basis. You know, like they're like us. They'll go out there and just on no money, city to city, like literally like eating bologna on hand. You know, like they put the work in. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've seen them suffer alongside me. So
Uh-huh.
I gotta have their back.
And eventually they're supposed to come in for musical conversations.
And they
that's
should.
cool.
If the
And that'd be
schedule
awesome.
allows. Because who was it that you introduced me to? Oh, which one was is it the singer? Is it
Probably Tyler?
Tyler?
Dead End.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's usually around, so it's probably the one you got nailed on there.
Yeah.
I've
Well, it's something
introduced
else.
you to so many people.
So many
man,
people
it's
all the
hard
time,
to-
and it's great, and I love it, and it's
yeah. Just gotta keep things rolling.
keep it rolling and keep it going. And of the people in town, I've had many musicians in, many people in for musical conversations, but of the people in town, you've been one of my biggest supporters. I greatly appreciate that all the way around again to tie in. Also,
You gotta get that independent radio out there too.
I got
Yeah,
it,
man.
Yeah, but we digress. The song is called "From the Heart." And it's All Rise.
From kids want a real taste of freedom? Get that real American pride, free drive, warm and sun. Punch away from the nation, whether these together. Come on, that will be a win. The first one is son of. Take a bite of brand new wave of super progress of the king. Kentucky Fried Eagle, take your life liberty. Super size and order of manifest destiny. No longer power pride, it's the taste of pride. Eagle, now we go out to run by the EPA. The slam was made for man to conquer. Celebrate your independence, get your mass at door. Kentucky Fried Eagle, take your life liberty. Super size and order of manifest destiny. Look at when you get species if we wipe them all out. And what better way to go than eagle now? Not just an eagle, don't resist. Panda, panda, make you lick the omens. You name it, we kill it, turn it up right. Come on, we open up and take up an American pie.
Let me see if I can run down that list that we just played. Meanwhile, everybody took their bio break and refill break. That was IED right there with KFE. Before that, No Anger Control, Tiff, who has to get in here. And that song is Take It Back. Drag Strip Girl, Cemetery Thieves, who I just talked to also. What was the guy's name?
Johnny Dick.
And he's going to come in for Musical Conversations eventually soon.
Yeah, guy's pretty much a local legend. He's a really awesome guy, man.
And then we started off with the request for All Rise, and that was From the Heart. This is Stan's Musical Conversations, and we are talking Hostile Witness, the tribute to Chris Peigler and his life, his legacy, and everything. Because the influence here on in Charlotte on the music scene, and not just the punk music scene, continues to, I mean, it astound me as we're talking about this, and more is being uncovered, that pieces are being pieced together, as it were, to that people never even realized before, until we're going. And I like that a lot. I've got Johnny, Robin, and Chris, and we are continuing. So where do we go from here? Tell me. This album the idea just came together.
It wasn't my idea. It was
And
it was completely Liz's idea.
Liz, okay.
Yeah. From the story I've told, she was just sitting around the house, and she had the idea, and then later on, of course, she approached me about it, and I thought it was a great idea too. And
Obviously, look at this.
yeah, the rest just kind of spiraled from there. She was the sole purpose, and she worked really hard on putting it out and stuff, and she cared for Peigler a great deal too. So.
Yeah. Let's reiterate where we can get it.
It's available from Self-Aware Records, which you can look at on Facebook.
Self-Aware.
Self-Aware Records, yeah. It's
trying to
searchable. It's on
enunciate it.
Facebook, and sorry.
It's okay. No.
Yeah. Drink another beer.
I'm also trying to repeat it. Remember the marketing thing. Self-Aware Records.
Self-Aware Records, yeah. And you could search that on Facebook, or I think they have selfawarerecords.com. It's not hard to find. It's definitely easy. And they also carry them at Lunchbox Records on Central.
Here in Charlotte on Central Avenue.
Yeah.
Right.
And we are going to do digital eventually,
Right. But it's
we'd
going to
like
have to be a packet. We talked about that a little bit before. It's going to have to be a whole thing because this is a whole thing. You can't just pick and choose these songs.
Definitely download all the songs at once. I don't want people to pick and choose because all the bands that went on this, it meant a lot to them to be on it. So we'd like to keep that spirit alive, digitally. So that's the problem we're faced with now, So I think we're going to figure out a way to do that, and then of course we're going to repress the album again because we almost sold out of the first pressing.
That's fantastic.
Wow,
Which is
I didn't know
great.
that.
How big of a pressing was that, if I may ask?
Do
you think
a few hundred?
hundred.
So yeah, and I mean I don't know the exact count. Liz would
Right.
have to do that, but she bought a big box full. That's all I know. And we were able to hand a lot of money, and we've been handing some off to Lunchbox and some off to Self-Aware here and there. So it's been going well. We still have a few left. Not many.
Right.
But we're going to go for the repressing, and then maybe we can get an even bigger amount next time. I don't know what the initial run was, but I know next time I'd like to get more. And then for part 2, I'd like to double or triple that so we can just keep
expand it.
income
Right. Keep it
flowing.
That would be wonderful.
Because the proceeds go to
Hazel Peigler,
Hazel.
Chris's mother.
His
yeah,
mother.
we've set up a trust fund so that all the money goes in there and can provide for her, just as Chris was providing
was
for her.
because that's
yeah,
right.
he was working a full-time job and every weekend and several times during the week at night he'd drive from Charlotte up to Concord and take care of his mom, and he was taking care of her, so we wanted to continue that for him.
That's
Or
incredible.
at least
and
I did.
wonderful. No,
And everybody else seemed to go
yeah.
along with it, and I was really happy
Right there
that
with
they
you.
did.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy at the Chris Peigler punk party. How many people just came up and were like, I don't even need any merchandise. I already own all this stuff. Will you guys just take some money?
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
people
was
just
given.
gave
I
it.
was
help us
given.
anyway.
They were just like, we just want to help Chris's mom. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a guy who I wish I could remember his name right now, but he's probably 17 years old, something like that. Came up to me and was like, "Would it be okay if I just gave you $40?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I mean, is that going to be enough?" I was like, "Dude, you just give whatever you want to give. If you got a penny you want to give a penny. That'll help. If you've got $20, give $20." He's like, "Well, I really want to give $40." I was like, "Great,
Thank
go
you.
give Robin $40 and we'll give you something.
Are there any-
take something
any other-
with us."
Are there any other methods of donating? And is there any other place set up for that yet? Or is this something
I
that
had posted on Facebook my address, and checks can be written to the Hazel Peigler Trust Fund.
Okay. Is
So-
it something that could be in development? Then maybe
Yeah.
is a web page or
Yep.
something like that to
Exactly.
to go. Okay. I know those cost, but still there are ways of setting up
Yeah.
that would not cost nearly as much and would be a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
But I got to say, Hazel is a wonderful, wonderful woman. When I try to visit her, I call her weekly, try to visit her, and I see where Chris got his spunk. I mean, she is a
how old?
feisty woman. She's 94. She's as lucid as can be. She's a great conversationalist. She's a lot of fun to talk to. It's a pleasure, and it's been wonderful to really have the opportunity to get to know her and to sit and talk with her about her son and her life and to hear the stories of the family. I hadn't met a lot of the family, had heard through Chris. I knew all the names, I knew the players, so to speak, and everything. And now I've got the opportunity to really meet everybody, and just sitting down for, hours talking with Hazel. It's really great to hear how her perspective of Chris's life is and what went on and everything. And I got to say, I mean, it was a really tough time. Chris died on the 8th. His 51st birthday, 8th of January, would have been the 24th of January. Hazel turned 94 on, and I'm going to get this wrong, it's either the 17th or the 18th of January. So,
right
a week
before
later, essentially, from her birthday, she's alone without her son.
Right.
And she raised him by herself. So it was one of those things that was very touching, and wanted to be there with her for that day and spent the day with her. So it was great. But she's a fighter. She is comical.
Every time I hang out with her, she makes me laugh.
She does. She's got a wit.
And she's your neighbor.
Yeah, she's my neighbor. Yeah.
So I see where
cool.
Chris got some of his attributes. It's been a great experience.
Wonderful. Maybe she should have come in for musical conversations. That would have been interesting, too, to hear.
Actually,
some of that.
she's a night owl, and we used to call her the punk rock mom. So
Wow.
she's probably up. And in fact, at the second show that we did at the Milestone, I had this idea where basically I said to her, people want to know you. They care about you. They care about Chris. Will you talk to them? And was in a nursing home at the time, and she's like, well, how? And I said, I'll put you on speakerphone.
Yeah.
And so I did. I posed the idea, and we got up on stage and called her and had her on speakerphone to a microphone. And
we had everybody shout, "We love you, Miss Peigler," into the
and
so she heard it. And
she talked to the crowd, and the crowd talked to her, and it was just amazing.
That's an
and
amazing
then
rock and roll moment.
A couple days later, I went back to see her, and she's like, well, how'd I do?
She did great. She was
And,
so good.
and I said, Hazel, you were a hit.
Yeah, it was pretty
That's
awesome.
amazing. That is
So
inspirational. in
it's
itself
really
to be able to
fun.
do
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
94-year-old woman willing to play along and just have a good time and go through that, especially under the circumstances. Really, again,
Yeah.
she's as inspirational as Chris is.
Oh, wow. That is very sweet and wonderful. That's powerful. Wow. I'm just speaking of tearing up. Oh, my God. That's,
I know.
That brings out.
Sorry,
the
the
emotions.
Loebs
Very
are
good.
an emotional bunch. So, I mean, if I do cry in a little bit, I apologize ahead of time.
Plural.
Yes.
Plural.
Lisa, she's not. She's like stone cold,
She doesn't cry.
She doesn't cry.
You say
just
you only
stay.
hear what I want to, Johnny.
I have an acapella version of that would amaze you, by the way. But
That's what I
the
listen to
male
while I
perspective.
jog.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
All right.
An acapella version. Someplace. I could play it eventually.
I'd
However,
like to hear that.
well, I may hunt it down, but give me something else. Let's go after something else off the CD. What was the biggest surprise to you, Johnny, would you say?
For me personally,
Of
it was
these-
Anti-Scene.
Anti-Scene? Really?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Jeff's very community minded, but I didn't realize that him and Peigler had done anything together.
Oh yeah.
They had.
Well, actually, I'm dating myself at this point, but
No, you already did that.
oh, when did I do that?
Talking about the age.
I thought
Go
I was
on.
dating you, but
Oh, hey!
no. When
it's
Chris
okay
and
to
I
date
were
yourself
first
if
hanging
you
out, I mean,
are
we went to a
generous.
tremendous number of anti-scene shows, and Jeff Clayton and Chris knew each other really well, and so it didn't surprise me in the least that they would want to participate and be a part of that.
Growing up, they were.
I mean, opposite.
They were two separate
They're
entities. in
very
childhood.
separate,
Yeah.
very separate views on life and very separate
Yeah.
political views and things like that, but very respective of each other as musicians and expression and the scene and all of
It
that.
was great for me because it was like the two people that I thought were the most fucking awesome people in the city wanted.
Yep. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It ties it all together for me. I'm good. That's what made the CD amazing for me. So
Wow.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, the Anti-Scene was the biggest surprise because I didn't I didn't go back that far. I kind of came in a little later.
No, I knew you when you were a youngster.
Yeah.
Wow, and,
I'm trying
and
to
Moss
wrap-
is really old.
I didn't look any better than.
Trying
You do
to-
realize it's not nice to call a woman old.
He didn't technically. Oh yeah, kind
But
of
that's
did.
okay.
No, I'm trying to wrap my brain around the idea of a young Moss there.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary
I-
stuff.
He came out. He was born with a beard. It was-
Just a pie-faced gremlin.
Oh my. And that's what I love about the music scene. We're making fun of each other, and it's
Yeah.
great. And
You gotta
it's
laugh
all
at
with,
yourself.
it's all from the heart. It's all,
Yeah, you
all
gotta laugh.
you know. Yeah, love it. Okay, so the band is Anti-Scene. Now they've been around since
30 years?
30 years. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
30
they
years
did.
now.
Last year they had the
Yeah.
30th
So
anniversary.
they're on the 31st year, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, they're about there. And,
Sorry, Jeff, if we got that wrong.
Yeah. They've
Carrie
definitely,
listens now and then, but I don't know if Jeff has yet.
they've been
Anyway.
around. Definitely. Good band. They deserve all the respect they get.
Yep.
He has his own Wikipedia page, and they talk more about him smashing his head against the microphone than anything else, but
Well,
it's
yeah,
pretty astounding.
bottles. I mean,
Bottles and everything.
Every show
yeah.
it was a glass beer bottle to the head.
He
So.
looks kind of like a Klingon there. I have Star Trek things all over the place. Come on, I'm gonna throw the reference out there. Okay.
He's earned every one of those scars.
Oh yeah.
You know?
You see my bottle opener? Is it? But we digress. No. So the song is called Curses, which is interesting. Okay.
There is no real magic. There's no real magic ever.
This is Stan. It's Musical Conversations, and we're talking about Hostile Witness, the tribute CD, pairing CD, a couple of CDs, a 2 CD set for Chris Peigler, available through record company again.
Self-Aware Records.
Self-Aware Records.
They're online.
They're online. Even though, doesn't it say Suicide Watch Records?
Yeah, well, that's that's Peigler's. We put that on there. Wes Tasty actually put that. He put that on there on purpose because it was along the lines of the
It's tribute.
yeah tribute because that was the kind of records that Peigler made.
Yeah.
And we thought it'd be fitting to put
Yeah, Smash
That-
the States.
that label on
Bomb
there.
Threat.
You know, that's why that
Yeah.
was the initial reason for doing it.
That's
I've
very
got
cool.
a funny story about the Bomb Threat CD, actually. It was something that we...
Talk to the mic.
It was something that we had spent a summer working on, and it happened to be the summer of 2001.
Wow.
Putting that all together, and Chris did most of the work, and we just recorded one song, and Chris had spent so much time putting all this, getting together all the bands that were going to be on there, and we sent off the disc. We sent off like our final version of everything to the press on September 9th.
Okay.
And September 11th was 2 days later, the big thing.
Yeah.
And we had just sent an album off to be pressed that was called Bomb Threat.
Wow.
So we had this conversation about whether we should keep going with it or not. And, whether it would be like a disrespectful thing to be talking about a bomb threat at this point in time, because all of a sudden everybody was like hyper aware and scared of all this stuff. And I don't remember how the whole conversation went down, but I remember us really, Ryan and Chris and I for sure. And I don't know if Robin had something to do with that too. I know Robin took the photos for the album artwork, and I'm sure you had a conversation with Chris about that.
Definitely.
And it was a pretty crazy, weird time to be, thinking about that and just the strangeness of doing that. And ultimately, Chris decided to stick with the name. And I mean, we'd already sent it off, so, it would have cost us money to stop the presses, as the case would have been. And I think it ended up working out great. And I think, in hindsight, I'm really glad that title was the one that stuck and that we ended up keeping it that way. I really think a lot of strange things have happened in our country since then, and I think the music that was on that, the song that we had on there that was called "I'm a Threat," was really foreshadowing some of the stuff that was going to come up, like the song "Patriot Act" that is about the Patriot Act, and loyalty oath about how we want your loyalty oath as a country, and if you go against us, then you're the enemy if you don't believe what we believe. And here we were writing a song about that in 2001 over the summer, and not realizing what was going to happen and how our country was going to spin out in a completely different direction than we never really anticipated or thought.
Right. Wow.
So it was weird and really deep.
Well, and I would add to that one of the other things that I really liked about the conversations that I had over the years with Chris is that he was very insightful and almost prophetic in a lot of ways, in that he really could read people and read situations in a way that we'd have conversations and we'd be talking about a situation, maybe something going on between some people or a group of people or nationalities or nations or leaders or whatever it may be, and we'd have this discussion, and he would very aptly just sort of predict the way it would happen in a way that you would think, well, I don't know. You'd kind of question it.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, he was right a lot of times. So he had this foresight that was really amazing. And so in part of those discussions that we had about Bomb Threat, it was almost one of those ironic sort of things where, again, I don't want to say foreshadowed or anything to that extent, but
Peigler intuition.
Yeah, the intuition was just there, and so it happened a lot for him. He was very insightful, and that came from his very close watching of people and surroundings and really great observance,
which you tied into his songwriting,
yeah,
of course,
exactly.
earlier, and
exactly.
Just their sociological experiments, almost, or explorations or explanations, or music. And September 11th, 2001, it astounds me how many different things were like that. Dream Theater releasing an album that showed the city skyline but flames, on the day.
Yeah.
And having
Slayer
to pull
released an album called "God Hates Us All" on that day, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah. There was some controversy over the second Lord of the Rings movie as well, being the Two Towers or something like that.
That's
Wow,
right.
really?
People were like, how are you going to call it that? Yeah, but I mean,
that's
that book had been written
a long time before.
several years, let's say.
just decades, many decades before. Yeah. Interesting. Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy to think about. That was, how many years ago now?
Right.
13?
Right.
Oh, well.
It seems like just yesterday.
12 and a half?
To many people. It's 14, so
13 and a half?
Yeah.
Wow.
Math again,
I saw something really great today.
it's either ones and zeros. I don't know.
Yeah, John. I think it was
binary.
something from one of our friends at the Milestone, where there was a little thread on Facebook about the number 3 is now no longer known as the number 3, at least in our state. It is now known as Dale. So it's 1, 2, Dale, 4, 5.
Okay. Oh wow.
So,
I'm down for that.
And then 8 is Dale Jr.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not Dale. It's just Junior.
It's just Junior.
Junior.
Right.
The Junior.
Junior. Anyway,
Which is interesting. Okay.
bring it all around here.
All around, yeah.
So Chris was raised in North Carolina, but not just
NASCAR.
North Carolina, in Concord, which is also where
Home
the
of
track
the
is.
and NASCAR. I don't know.
I'm not going to stop saying that now.
It's amazing, isn't it? I saw that and cracked up for a couple of hours. I mean, I
not
just
gonna go
kept
that
trying to
far,
find
but
a way
still.
to work it into a conversation.
Not gonna
So
happen.
thank you guys for letting me do
Oh,
that.
sure. Thank you for making us renumber our
It's changed
systems.
my life. Taking that home.
I don't know.
Yeah, and as a math teacher, I am just like, oh my God.
You're going to be counting off songs that way. 1, 2, Dale, 4.
We gotta find out who
5, 6, 7,
who
Junior.
number 9 is. 'Cause it could be Dale divided by or multiplied by Dale equals, and then whoever number 9 is.
That's
You could
what
get
I'm
like a
thinking.
whole fucking
Casey
NASCAR
Kane
thing
or something,
going.
yeah. I know.
NASCAR math.
Yeah, right.
NASCAR math.
That's
How
my
do you
next.
teach a redneck math?
There you go. We just did it.
I think that's the next
Years ago,
course
I
I'll
had
develop.
a huge amount of respect for Richard Petty. Get into there.
This old lady just passed,
This old
didn't she?
lady just- yeah.
It was like today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Oh, wow, I didn't hear
does.
that.
It does.
Terrible.
And also, you want to prove to me how good of a driver you are? Get from Kannapolis to downtown Charlotte in less than an hour in rush hour traffic. Okay, during rush hour.
Yeah.
That'll prove to me that you're a good driver.
Yeah.
I know
Not
this-
driving around in a circle 500 times.
Yeah, what the hell is that? With everybody else? Come on. Hey, I digress.
Liz just messaged me. She wanted me to clarify that the album's not put out by Self-Aware. They're just carrying it.
They're carrying it.
Yeah, she's coaching me.
Thank
from
you.
afar.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Liz.
And I will edit
That,
that.
I could see how that could be confusing.
That is.
Yeah, with
they
a
are
few-
they are
with a
the
few
distributor.
Yeah, they're the distributor.
It is actually put out by Suicide Watch Records. Would you say
Liz Moss Records?
Liz Moss Records?
Put out by Liz Moss Records. Actually, we did start a record label because of that.
Okay.
But it's not our first release. We just we had a lot of time to go over it, to compile it, and to get all these people together. And we realized that putting an album together really isn't that hard.
No.
So and I said this earlier, but that was the reason why we started our label.
Yeah.
Because of that. So that was something else good that,
And there's getting ready to be some really awesome stuff that's going to come out of that, too. So.
Yeah.
Excellent. I look forward to hearing it.
Yeah, and Self-Aware is definitely a record label that should be supported too. They're also a
Yeah.
local label, And,
Okay.
And there's, I think there's Banshee too. I think there's Banshee Records that just came out. Have you heard of them?
I have heard of it, but nothing
Yeah,
like
there's
who's
a
on it
few
or
labels
anything.
popping up in the city, and I think
What's it take to be a
Self-Aware's been
label
out
now?
for 5 years now.
But
so.
what's it take to be a label now?
Well, I guess
The
making
ability-
physical copies of
the ability to record, master, and
Which
and
we
then
have.
put to physical disc.
yeah, with Brandon in on the label.
A distribution
we can do that.
network might help.
Well, I have that actually. I'm talking to a few of them right now, so
Okay.
I'm trying. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to get
It's
your
tough.
foot in there. I'm talking to Interpom.
For you especially, this is a book I highly recommend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Donald Passman. It's hilarious and amazing. It's Donald Passman's All You Need to Know About the Music Business. The one who recommended it to me is Dave Ellefson, the bass player from Megadeth, and his book. He said this one and that one have been taught as classes. And I just finished this one. It's amazing. Making Music Your Business, a guide for young musicians. It is amazing, and not an expensive book either. Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio is made possible by the Bluebird Beauty Bar. Polly Hall and Kaya Stowers are committed to meeting the needs and expectations of each client, offering cuts, colors, and chemical waves, and everything from facial waxing to makeup and updos for bridal parties and proms. 408 Beaumont Avenue in Charlotte, bluebirdbeautybar.com. Tell them that you are a musical conversationalist.
And,
have other
I
people
forgot
I
to
wanted
mention
to. However.
All Rise is starting a label too.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they're Tanked Records. So that's 4 labels right there coming up in the
Acid FM
city.
has Monster Fuzz Records.
Yeah.
They have done that for a while because that's where the tribute to Monster Magnet came out.
And Dane Abernathy he's recording out of the Milestone now,
Right.
so he's doing that. There's a lot of people doing a lot of really interesting stuff, and
Dane
really,
was just recommended to me as to be a friend, and I'm like, who the hell are you? Again, somebody else. Oh, another musician. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's how I'm.
He's quality people.
yeah.
No,
Good dude.
that's how I'm choosing whether or not I accept them.
He's also
somebody
the
I
lead
went to high
singer of
school
Hulk,
with,
which is a great band.
Yeah, right.
But another musician here in Charlotte. All right, yeah, I'll accept your friendship.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's good. That's the way it should be, right?
Yes. Wow. Yeah, but we digress.
Yeah, there's only like a handful of people that I still know from high school. You know, I mean, what do you need that for?
Right. Well, yeah.
My ex-wife is one of them, so I mean,
No.
You know, I think we can't undervalue the amount of work that Liz put in for all this too, and I think
exactly.
her name really isn't all over the place on this, which is speaks volumes of how much she respected Chris and really.
She does not get enough credit. Most of the stuff I do is because of the work she puts in, and that goes beyond the label to DSR, to the new band, to everything I'm doing. She's
really
amazing.
Yeah,
really, what's on there that says Liz is the layout, design, and that's about the only place I remember seeing it because I read the booklet and everything. Because
she's not the type to take a lot of credit for what she does.
That's congratulations and thank you, Liz.
She's not as egotistical as me. I did it. It's all me. While I sit here and drink this Guinness, all me. Praise Dad. Just all joking aside, though, she did put a lot of work in.
Yeah,
Yeah, she did.
So. And everything about that is well done, I have to say. The layout, the pictures, the text in there, because it's not just Chris's words, but those who knew him and support, and it is fantastic. And of course,
the entire booklet was put together by local artists, local people. So
yeah. You asked a little while ago, Moss, about what was the most surprising thing on the record here, and I think maybe the most surprising thing to me was seeing a couple of band names on here that I hadn't really thought about since I'd left my so-called band, and it was really awesome to see that these bands were still out there and still putting out music.
Okay.
I have on my CD shelf and record, well, I got a couple of records and a lot of CDs, some recordings from some of these guys, which I thought was really crazy to see. The Ray Grady's. Where's another one in here that was killing me? We played a show with the Rotten Liberals. I remember playing a show with them in Fayetteville at this little skate zone was the name of the place. And, they were great. They were awesome. I think the Raleigh band, right?
No, they're from Charlotte.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah. Actually, just saw... I saw about at the Independence show the other night at Snug Harbor.
Oh, wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of another old band, the Independents.
Yeah.
The song they included on there is Justify. Rotten Liberals.
Yeah.
You want to go to that?
Yeah, they're great.
Sure,
They're
man.
great
That'd be
band.
awesome.
Rotten Liberals.
Jerry and
Justify.
Matt, great guys.
Yeah,
great guys.
Let me just say this, and I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say,
justify your answers, justify your lies, justify the truth, we're living dead in lives. Justify your answers, justify your lies, justify the truth, we're living dead in lives. In the land of opportunity, we're living dead in lives. In the land of opportunity, you work until you die. Try to find the answers, but all you get is lies. When you fall for the truth, it's the end of your life. Every day is all the same. Seems like things will never change. This get richer, not the same. One class goes down the drain. Justify your answers, justify your lies, justify the truth. We're living dead alive. Land of the free, to be all you can be. When it's land of the free, it's nothing you and me. White collar workers with their scary wrist cry. What a working class heroes, it takes away the pride. Seems like things will never change. Every day it's all the same. We're all the slaves. In the end, we will dig our own fucking grave. Justify your answers, justify your lies, justify the truth, we're living dead in lies. Justify your answers, justify your lies, justify the truth, we're living dead in lies. Justify your answers, justify your lies, justify the truth, we're living down lies. Justify your answers, justify your lies, the truth, we're living down lies.
And I think too that I could say that in my years of public life that I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
Amazing. That's a good song. And they call themselves Rotten Liberals. And then, yet they've got Nixon on there. Talking about not being a crook. Right. We get political on musical conversation.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do. I was just expressing how much I love that Musical Conversations is able to take these turns and digressions and move wherever music takes it, because that's the important part of it is the music. And it doesn't fuck genres. I want to go. I want to hear it. I want to. I have an appreciation. If somebody has it within themselves to get up and express themselves musically, which is a scary proposition in and of itself, respect that, please. Honor that, celebrate it. That's astounding. I applaud it. That's just me and my perspective. What was your first instrument?
Guitar. Started when I was 12.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent.
And haven't stopped since then. Yeah.
Excellent.
Made it a lifestyle. So.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I know. It really sucks. I mean, I say things like, I can't. I have to practice.
Yeah. Well, that's sometimes a good thing. Yeah.
But my chops got a lot better because of that.
Right. So
you need to talk to my band sometime.
Your boys got chops. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they do. They just. It's hard to get them to practice.
That's the point. I see that now. Yeah, that's what the stage is for. Oops.
Yeah,
that's what the stage is for. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you're up there every weekend, it works as a pretty good practice.
Yeah. Trial by fire kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just.
The band that I'm in now with my family, Loebs. We don't rehearse.
You don't?
No, we free improvise.
Wow.
So
I appreciate that.
Our sets
incredibly.
are all just kind of off the cuff stuff. I mean, it's something that I don't know if there's other people that I would feel comfortable doing that with.
Yeah. Did you guys perform that night at
the CD release show?
Yeah,
early.
I think
night.
I kind of paid attention to that. I might have been dragged outside by somebody to talk to somebody else, but
free improvs.
But it's free improvs though.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, pretty wild and you're talking about the thrill of being on stage. And when you walk up there and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty exhilarating. I mean, it's. And like I said, I don't know if there's really a lot of other people that I would feel comfortable doing that with.
Right.
My siblings, my sister Jess, my brother Dave, and my other brother Andy are all quality musicians, and we all have that extra awareness
Lobe.
of each other, that extra lobe. I think it's not a frontal lobe, it's a sidal lobe.
Plural.
Plural.
It is plural, yeah.
Sidal lobes. Yeah.
Sidal lobes. Yeah.
Sorry.
And they're right near our ears, so
yeah.
anyway.
1-2 Dale.
Moss doesn't have any lobes at all, so I mean those are just giant holes right now.
Right
so.
there. Wow.
So and I think
and it's not like you can ever be used to making fun of the name.
No.
Just-
I mean, we love it.
come
We
on.
love it. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes we intentionally spell it wrong just to mess with people. I mean, it's fun.
I don't even know. Is it Loebs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, BS because it's bullshit.
Hey.
At the end, yeah, that's what I tell all the kids.
It was a good show, though. You guys killed
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So, and every show
All-
is totally different. Yeah.
Totally
very
different.
unique.
However,
That's
could you ever record?
That's a weird thing. We've talked about it a lot, and it's kind of a strange thing to be in an improv group. And if you record something, is it?
That's set in
is
stone.
What is that? How does that work? And
Right.
there's some stuff that we do organizationally a little bit with it. I don't really want to talk about it too much more, but I do think that the idea of us, I want to talk more about Chris, but the idea of us being able to have the I don't know. I hate to say balls because my sister doesn't have balls, but
Ovum.
have the guts to get up there and do that. I think is something that I think we kind of got that handed down to us by Chris. I really do. I think
to get out there and do it.
I think that idea of get out there and do it, and my brother Dave obviously was in a band with him and was in a band that was very affected by him too in Minority Party, and I think my brother Andy saw us growing up doing that, and Chris had done some things to help Andy as well. And Jess knew Chris too and wasn't as active, but she knew him and saw him and saw she came to a lot of our shows that we played when I was in the band, and went to a lot of shows after that because Dave was still playing in Minority Party and sharing the stage with Chris then too. So I think that idea of being genuine and saying what you really mean and not being afraid to do it was something that I don't know if I would have had the guts to do if I hadn't been in a band with Chris, and if I hadn't had that opportunity to get on stage with him and go to some, we played some really shitty shows. And I mean, I remember one time we played the local 506.
Wow.
And there was 4 other people in the room other than the 3 of us that were on stage. And we killed it.
Cool. Of course.
And we played our
I
asses
highly
off.
respect that. Of course.
Yeah. And,
of course.
and it was like, we drove all the way out there. It's not like we're just going to get in the van and turn back around.
Right.
I brought all my gear here. I'm going to fucking play.
Yeah. And you're not
I'm going to
just
play
gonna-
hard.
Yeah. No. You can,
And we did. I've been to a lot of different concerts, and I've seen great classical musicians make a mistake and still have it be one of the best performances I've seen of that show. And I've seen punk bands that can barely make it through a song and been like, wow, that was awesome. That was really intense, and I totally believe it, and I loved it. And it's not whether it was perfect or whether it was anything else. It was that they were doing it from the heart and they really meant it. And that sense of being, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, the thrill of being on stage, but there's also a sense of vulnerability, I think, about it too, that is something that, when you're up there pouring your heart out and you're not sure if anybody's listening or cares at all, sometimes it can be a little disheartening, and sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. And when you see somebody, like Moss, or you see somebody like who are some of the other bands that we're talking about here, the Letdowns or IED, who's not turning into Drone. You see the Ray Grady's or Dirty South. Any of these guys, they get up there and they play a show, and if there's 2 people there, they rock out the same way as they would if there was 1,000 people there, and they pour their hearts out and they do it. And I think every band that's on this CD would probably do that. I don't think there's anybody on here that would mail it in.
Right. Right. Or phone it in or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I got
email it in. Yeah,
text it in, Snapchat it in.
I don't want to. It wasn't.
I don't even know what that means.
It won't last very long if you do it that way.
10 seconds.
That's what it is. Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the things that Moss was talking about too, about some of the Clear Channel shit and these really artificial, ridiculous groups that are out there that don't mean anything. I mean, who's writing their songs? It's the same song over and over again, just a different face or something
they fit
else.
The costume.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I teach this history of rock music class, and the topic of Janis Joplin came up recently, and we watched a video of Janis performing live.
How old are your students?
College.
So it could be any ages around.
18 up mostly. So a couple of the people, actually, the one thing that they commented about was how she looked.
Okay.
And it was surprising to me that it was very superficial. And I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, but it was like, wow, she looks a lot older than I thought she was going to be. And I was like, well, what did you think she was going to look like?
Yeah.
They were like, well, she looks like she's, got to be at least 50 now. And I was like, that's not really that old.
Right.
It's not.
and then somebody was like, well, I don't know. That was all they were talking about though, was what she looked like. And I was like, wow, this lady's pouring her heart out and
the performance that comes to my mind that you may have been the one that you played was her performance of Move Over on the Dick Cavett show.
No, it was.
Do you know that one though?
I do. It was, I can't remember the name of the song now. Take Another Little Piece of My Heart. And it was a live.
Monterey.
They've got people on the stage with her and all kinds of stuff like that. It may have been from the same show, but it was that song.
I think Monterey. I think that
maybe
was
that's
the Monterey show.
Okay.
However, not that I know that much on
it was. It was really surprising to me that this really significant artist, someone who I had a lot of respect for as a musician, and someone who I put up on the same level of sincerity as like Bob Dylan in my mind.
Oh yeah.
The only thing we could talk about was how she looked and what she looked like, and I think that's kind of
just totally ignoring.
The fact that she's like she's pouring her heart out and has a really unique sounding voice. She doesn't sound like every other singer that's on the radio.
Probably one of the greatest female vocals of all time.
Right.
Yeah,
and here I am like defending her. I'm like standing alone defending Janis Joplin to a room of 50 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Show that Dick Cavett show performance.
I'm going to look that up.
Because she gets off of stage, she walks over, she is just drenched. They went out. They did one song, and he's like, "How do you do a full show?" How do you? It's just like, well, we pour it out when we want to, when we need to. Every single performance requires that.
I think
Move Over
as a
is
job.
on Pearl, which came out posthumously. Okay, so this is near the end of her career. I mean, she's wow. Yeah. It's great. However,
as a job, how do you get up every day and put that much of yourself into your work? I mean, there's not a lot of other careers where you do that, like that much of yourself, where you spend so much of yourself.
You're starting to sound like Turn the Page by Bob Seger.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's serious, I mean, when you so much of you is invested in it,
sweat pours out your body like the music that you play is the lyric.
Yeah, still, I know, exactly. And as much as that song is maybe cliched or whatever, I think there is something.
But back then, that was groundbreaking stuff. That was he's finally somebody's talking about being on the road.
Yeah,
And
I think even just playing a local show, is can be a really difficult thing and something that you really put your heart into. Let alone going on tour and going around and like you're talking about bologna in the hand kind of that's the one thing you ate that day and you're still going to get on stage and jump around and pour your heart out. I mean there's not a lot of people that are willing to put that much of themselves into anything nowadays, and I think that's something that we've really lost as a country. Even I mean, I think we've really lost that.
People building cars.
Intensity, yeah.
Well, they're not even building the cars in the United States that much anymore.
To quote Fat Mike though, from No Effects, he said the song's the same, but the desperation's gone. That's what is needed is desperation in order to make it. Something viable, whether or not it's good in whoever's eyes. if it doesn't have desperation, then it's, in my opinion, it's not real art. You know?
Yeah, I agree, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's what sets it apart.
Style and you know, physical ability and those kind of things, I think, are all just like extra stuff. It's when it really means something to the person that's doing it. It comes across so much more genuine. And you know, I don't know. I guess we just live in this really artificial world right now where everything is kind of piped in, and you know, we're surrounded by music too. You know, people are constantly listening to their earbuds, or you know, you go to
that's not the way
Harris
to listen to
Teeter, or you know, whatever it is. There's, you know, classical music in the produce section because apparently, you know, produce appreciates that more or something. I don't know. And then you know, and then there's like
does a lot for
you know. And then there's, you know, like light, smooth jazz or something like that in the, you know, the dried goods area.
And the deli section always gets the heavy metal.
Yeah. You know, I had a really weird experience. I had a really weird experience one day.
His death.
Go figure, right?
Sorry.
No. I had this really weird experience one day when I was in Kmart, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, because I was
in and of itself. There's
well,
only one around.
Well, this was a long time ago. This was in another town too.
Okay.
No, it was Target. Excuse me. I'm sorry. One of those old things like
same
that,
thing.
shops. Yeah. Anyway, I'm in the children's section because I have a son and he was turning 3 at the time, so it was birthday shopping for him, and I'm looking in these little kids' books and like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. And the song, I don't know if you're familiar with Superman That Hoe.
No.
It came on over the speakers at fucking Target. I just said fucking Target, right? And I'm like looking at this children's book and listening to Superman That Hoe in a public place. Like it just felt really artificial and like bizarre. It was just totally weird. And I was thinking to myself, this is what the world has come to. I mean, there's a place for that song, but that wasn't really it.
For another song that recently, I don't even know when the fuck it came out, but CeeLo Green's "Fuck You."
Yeah.
But the radio version of it is "Forget You."
Yeah.
But I was walking around one of those stores like that, and it came on. But it's of course the "Forget You" version. But what am I singing?
Yeah.
The version I know.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Ain't that some shit? Come on, you don't think
it's a great song?
Yeah,
that is an absolutely phenomenal song because it is old style R&B.
Yeah,
with the F-bomb everywhere.
Yeah,
you know,
even updated, lyrically updated.
Lyrically updated.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously.
Well, they used to hide that. You know, it was you know, secret kind of stuff like that. You know,
just forget
clever.
You. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Enough. I'm like, fuck you and fuck her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be richer. Now ain't that some shit? And although that's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best with the fuck you. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't afford a Ferrari, but that don't mean I can't get you there. I guess he's an Xbox and I'm more Atari. But the way you play your game ain't fair. I picture the fool that falls in love with you. Oh, she's a gold digger. Well, just spoke to she know. Ooh, I've got some news for you. Yeah, go on and run tell your little boy free. See you driving round town with the girl I love, and I'm like, fuck you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. And although that's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best with the fuck you.
beat your ass right now. See you driving round town with the girl I love, and I'm like, fuck you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, fuck you, and fuck her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be richer. Now ain't that some shit? And although that's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. Fuck you. Now baby, 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 why you wanna hurt me so bad? So bad, so bad, so bad. I tried to tell my mama, but she told me this is one for your dad. Yeah, she did. And I was like, why? Why, baby? I love you. I still love you. I see you driving round town with a girl I love. Fuck you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, fuck you, and fuck her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be richer. Now ain't that some shit? And although that's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. With the fuck you.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Superman, that hoe put on my tombstone.
I know, right? I mean,
what was the other one I was supposed to write on there already? Oh,
forget.
Exactly. Anyway.
Just going to have a bunch of random things on there.
Random. You know, the technology is going to advance where it will be able to change.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I could just text one every day.
Yeah. It's going to recount your text history, everything you've
every day. It's
How
a
scary
new
is that
one of my Facebook statuses.
Text from heaven.
The life of Johnny Moss.
Superman at hoe.
1-2
Dale.
Through his text messages.
I'm in a swamp. That's great. Oh my god.
I love musical conversations. This is a lot of fun. And I thank everybody for listening. This is a lot of fun. Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio is made possible by the Bluebird Beauty Bar. Polly Hall and Kaya Stowers are committed to meeting the needs and expectations of each client, offering cuts, colors, and chemical waves, and everything from facial waxing to makeup and updos for bridal parties and proms. 408 Beaumont Avenue in Charlotte. Don't forget to tell them that you are a musical conversationalist. BluebirdBeautyBar.com. This is Stan. Listen to Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio. Saturday afternoons at 2, where I have local, regional, national, and sometimes international bands come in, and we talk music, influences, philosophy, and everything else. Saturdays at 2 on PMCR.
Musical Conversations on Plaza Midwood Community Radio, PMCR Charlotte.